In last video, you understood how to access HDFS by using a shell script, Hadoop. We also understood that whenever you are using any Hadoop FS command, internally the shell script was starting a Java program called as FS shell. In this video, I'm going to show you how to access HDFS programmatically through Java code. You will be able to read and write files to HDFS, and also you will be able to read the metadata of the files using Java program. Let us see how we can achieve this. So you should be aware, first of all, that HDFS is not a general purpose file system. HDFS is write once only. That means you cannot update the files. Like in normal file system, you will be able to update the files. So you need to remember that files cannot be modified once they have been written. HDFS is write once, read many times. So you may have a doubt, hey, what if I modify a file using the API? Is it not updating the existing file? No. What actually happens is it will replace the whole file whenever you are updating. Be aware. So don't try to update any files in HDFS. To allow us to access the file system, Hadoop provides an API called as file system. There is an abstract class called as file system, and there are various subtypes of file system. One file system which points to HDFS, one file system object pointing to local file system, and various other file systems like Amazon as well. But at a code level, we always use the superclass file system. So we are abstracted from the underlying file system. Okay, so let me show you what I mean. First of all, if you want to work with any file system, whether it is HDFS or local file system or Amazon S3 file system, you need to get an object of file system. How to get the file system object? Just see this code. First thing you need to do is you need to create an object of configuration. Whenever you create an object of configuration, this will load all the default values from the configurations. You might be having your Hadoop home/conf folder, right? In conf folder of Hadoop home, there are a lot of configuration files. So by reading those configurations, it will try to load all the default values. Then once configuration object is created, if you say file system dot get, you will get the file system object. Then once you got file system object, you will be able to read and write. As I told you, the configuration object has read in the configuration files. The configuration object will read all the Hadoop configuration files, and therefore it knows the address of name node. Okay, so before you write or read, you need to identify a file by using an object. So path is an object which points to a file or a directory. So you have to create a path object pointing to either a directory or file. Then you will be able to use the file system object to do various manipulations. Let us see an example. If you want to create a new file using file system object, what you can do is you can just call file system object dot create and pass the path object. This create method will create a file in HDFS and it will return you the FS data output stream object. FS data output stream is a subtype of java.io.data output stream. So by using this output stream, you will be able to write content into that file. Similarly, if you want to read a file, you call file system object dot open and pass the path object pointing to the file. You will be able to, you will be returned with FS data stream object, which internally extends java.io data input stream. So by using this input stream object, we will be able to read the data. Okay. Similarly, there are methods for deleting a file or creating directories, copy from local, copy to local, list status, etc. So let us see the usage of each methods one by one. So the first program I am going to show you is how to list all the files in a directory. So what I am doing first, I am creating a path object pointing to a directory, then created configuration object, then I am saying file system dot get and passing the configuration. Okay, I will be getting the file system object based on the configuration object. Then file system dot list status and pass the path object pointing to directory. I will be returned with an array of file status. Each file status object represents a path in the directory. The path can be either a file or a directory. So I am iterating through each file status and printing the path object. File status dot get path will give you the path object pointing to either a file or a directory. File status dot get length will give you the length. Okay, this is the way to list a directory. So let me show you through code how it works. The same thing, I have written the code in Eclipse, same program whatever I have shown you. So here I am using configuration object and file system dot get. I have this program inside Eclipse. So here is a file directory listing dot java. Now in my class path I have a core site.xml where there is only one property called as fs.default.name. Here I am giving the IP where the name node is listening. So here I will just give master because IP is master, right? So here I gave the location of name node property. Now what I do is first of all let me make sure that there is some directory in my file system. I'll go to data folder. Here there is the Shakespeare in my data folder. Here in home directory I will extract it. Then what I do is I'll put this Shakespeare folder just for testing. Hadoop fs dash put Shakespeare into Shakespeare. Okay, now I'll say Hadoop fs dash ls slash user slash siva. I should get the Shakespeare directory listed slash Shakespeare. I should see all the files under this directory. These are the files: comedies, glossary, histories, poems and tragedies, right? Now what I want to do is I want to retrieve the same information through my Java code. So let me show you here. I have a path pointing to this Shakespeare directory. I am going to run this. See, it is printing the path of each file and length of each file, right? Now what I am going to do is in my core site.xml I will give, instead of HDFS colon slash slash, I'll give file colon slash then file colon slash slash, then home slash siva. Actually let me just do this home/Siva. I will run it again. Just check what happens. Expected authority at index 7. 1 minute. I'll just give file : /. See what if the prefix is file : it is pointing to my local machine, that means Ubuntu machine, not the HDFS. So it is listing all the files present in /home/Siva. So just like ls/home/Siva. See, these are all the files. Even the hidden files also are shown. So if I give file : as prefix, this file system object will be pointing to local file system. Let me keep a breakpoint here, and I'll try to debug first. Debug. It should come to the breakpoint. What? Oh, okay, I am unable to debug, sorry. Okay, the debugging is not enabled here. Anyway, debug is not supported on this machine. I have to do some other configuration for enabling debugging here in this VM. And what I want you to show you is this file system object points to local file system. Okay, so if the prefix is HDFS : then it points to HDFS. So this configuration object, whenever we are creating new configuration by using a default constructor, it will look for configuration files first inside class path. If there is any configuration file under class path, that will be loaded. Okay. So if I don't have this core site.xml inside class path, let us see what will happen. I am running it from Eclipse, so there is no configuration file. Let us see what will happen. I will just list /. Okay, so that root directory is everywhere. See, it is pointing to which one? Local file system. So by default it will point to local file system if I don't configure fs.default.name. But let me run the same thing using command prompt. Okay. So first of all, you need to understand, whenever you want to run a Java program from command prompt, you will do like this, right? Java -cp space dot, that means current folder is in class path. Oh, I should go to this directory. So first of all, I'll go to workspace. I'll go to the project directory 01AccessHDFSSolution. This is a project in which my code is present. 01AccessingHDFS-solution. cd target, all the .class files will be there under target/classes. Now here I'll say Java space cp space dot, that means current folder is in class path. Then in dot, what's the package? co dot way to learn dot, the class name is what? Directory listing. Let me check. What is it saying? There is no class for arg.apache.fs.path. That means whenever we are running this Java class, the Hadoop related jars should be there in class path, is it? How to add Hadoop related classes, Hadoop related jars in class path? Let me show you. There is a command called as Hadoop space class path. Just let me show you what happens. See, it is giving the class path, all the jars separated by colon. Hadoop class path, if I execute this command, this will give me all the jars that should be added in the class path. So once you understand that, let me write java space cp space dot, the current folder should be in class path, colon, in escape sequence backslash back escape Hadoop space class path, again escape, this one hyphen, not single quote, it is a back quote, okay, space, then I'll write in dot co dot way to learn dot directory, what is the class name, directory listing. Now let us see. Okay, so what it is printing the path slash user, is it? Okay, so I'll just write slash user slash Siva slash Shakespeare. Now let me run. Is it listing all the files under that Shakespeare? Yes. But what is the file system picked up? HDFS. So whenever I am running through command prompt, automatically it will detect the Hadoop slash conf folder. All the configuration inside Hadoop slash conf will be detected, and anyway in Hadoop slash conf there is core site.xml where I have configured fs.default.name pointing to HDFS name node. So now it is pointing to HDFS. So if I am running the same program through Eclipse, it is it is pointing to local file system. So file system object abstracts us from what it is pointing to. We are not worried where it is pointing to. The configuration object will load the configuration files appropriately and will give us output. So now we understood how to list all the directories. Now let me take you one more step further. How to write a file? See the code first. Again, I am creating a configuration object. This will load all the defaults from the files, configuration files. If you want to override any settings, you can of course configure configuration.set. If you want to explicitly set the fs.default.name to point to some name node URL, yes, you can do it. So this first step will load all the defaults from the configuration files. Whatever you want to override, of course you can do. Then I will get the file system. What I want to do is I want to create a file called as abc.txt. So I created a path object with name abc.txt. fs file system.create path, it will create a file and it is giving me data output stream. Now data output stream dot write, it requires byte array. So I just want to write string by dot get bytes. So it will write this by into the stream. Now I am printing what is our file system dot get URI dot get path will give the URI path of the file system. Get working directory will give me the working directory of file system. Get home directory will give me the home directory of file system, and closing it. You need to close, otherwise the data will not be flushed from memory. This is the way to write a file to file system. Let me show you the same code in Eclipse. So I have already written that code, file write demo. Okay, now I am having a file system object, new configuration. I didn't do it. I didn't set the default fs.default.name. So what? And also there is no core site.xml present in class path. So now I'll get a file system pointing to what? Local file system. I am creating abc.txt and writing. Let me check. I will run this. This is the same program whatever I have shown in my presentation. See, file system URI is what? Slash working directory. This is a working directory, the current directory of the project, and home directory is /home/Shiva. This is my local file system. And if I refresh the project, you see abc.txt is created in the working directory. In the working directory, abc.txt is written and it contains by. Now I want this abc.txt to be written to Hadoop file system. There are two choices now. Either I can set this configuration object to point to master colon 8020. This is the port. Let me check. Uh, 8020, yep, it is the one, master colon 8020. So I am setting this fs.default.name as this one, and I'll write, first of all, let me go to browser and check what all files are present in my file system. I'll go to master colon 50070, browse file system. Under user /Shiva, there is Shakespeare, and inside Shakespeare there are these files. Now under user /Shiva, this is the only directory. I will run my program. Let me check where this abc.txt will be created. This configuration.set has to be set before getting the file system object. Then only it will pick the HDFS file system. Now let me run. See, now it is pointing to HDFS colon, and let me check whether the abc.txt is created under my home directory. Yes, now abc.txt is created and this is the content. So now we understood how to create a file by using file system API. Now how to read. Here is a read demo, very simple. Same thing, configuration object file system.get path abc.txt. Then now we have to say file system.open will get input stream. From the input stream, I am just using a buffer reader to read a line and print it. Okay, let me check. Yes, I got it. Now tell me, just analyze, is this file system pointing to HDFS now or local file system? Is there core site.xml inside the class path? No. Did I explicitly set configuration.set fs.default.name? No. So it is pointing to abc.txt inside local. If you want to point it to HDFS, you can explicitly set configuration.set to point to the name node IP. That's it. Okay. So now you understood how to read a file by using file system. Okay, next. So reading we are done. This also we are done reading. Now let us see a very interesting thing, how to get the block locations of a file. So let me just show you again. Here I am getting a configuration object, file system.get will get the file system. I am pointing to a path called as pointing. I am creating a path object pointing to user/shiva/access log. I am getting the file status object, file system.get file status. If you give the path, it will give the file status object. Earlier, when I was listing the directory, so now this file status object is pointing to this path. Do you remember what is the command used to, what is the method I called for listing the files in a directory? I got file status array right earlier. What is that code? Tell me. List status. If you want to list the files in a directory, file system.list status will give you file status array. But if you want to get a file status of a particular path, not the files inside that path, then you use file system dot get file status. You will get a single file status object. So file status dot get length will give the length of that file. I'm printing it. File system dot get file block locations. From the file system, I'm getting the file block locations. For which file? A file which is pointed by file status. And I want block locations for what all bytes, from 0th byte till end of the file. Okay. So this will give me an array of block locations. I'm iterating through each block location. Then block location dot get names is giving me an array of host. Okay. So one block might be present in 2 hosts. Is it possible? One block can be present in 2 hosts. Is it possible? Yes. Let me tell you an example. By default, what is the block size in HDFS? 64. Okay. Suppose if the replication factor is 3, same block will be present in how many hosts? 3 hosts, right? So it is giving me host names for each block. So block 1 might be present in data node 1, data node 2, data node 3 nodes. So block location dot get names will give me the array of host names. I am printing all the host names in which the block is present. And suppose if I take block 2 starting offset will be some byte. Which byte is it? The byte offset. Start offset I'm getting, and I'm printing the block length in MBs as well. And also block location dot get topology paths will give me the path of the rack as well as the machine name. Okay. So let me run this and I will show you what will be the output. So to run this, let me just give an example of a file which is having more than one block. I will just copy a big file from my master. I'll log into my master. I'll go to command prompt. I'll go to my data folder. I have access log. Access log is a big file, 512 MB. So what I do is Hadoop fs-put access log with same name access log. It will take some time to put this file. I'll pause my video. Okay, the file has been copied. Now let me go to the file system, browse the file system, and I'll show you under user/siva access log has been created. The size of access log is 511 MB. The replication factor is 2 as I configured, and I'll click on it. It will show me the file. If I come down, it is showing me the block locations. One block, the first block is present in how many hosts? In host 50 and 51, because the replication factor is 2, and there are how many blocks totally? 8 blocks. So I want to show this information through my program. So coming to my code, I want it to point to HDFS. So I want to read the block location, right? Okay, so let me open that retrieving block locations code. Here I have one more Java class retrieving block locations. This is the same code whatever I showed in my presentation. So I'll say configuration dot set what is the name, fs dot default dot name, and the value, if it has to point to HDFS, it should be HDFS colon slash not localhost, master colon 8020. Is it 2 slashes? Yes. So let me run. It is pointing to user slash siva slash access log. I should get the block location information about access log file. Let me run. See, first what is printed? File status dot get length is giving me the length of the file. This is the total length of the file in bytes, and I am iterating through each block location. First block, in the first time in the loop, first block is present in how many hosts? 2 hosts, 50-50. Start offset is 0th byte, and block size is 24. Here I am printing start offset and block size. And topology path. So where is this block present? Under slash default track. Actually I am not having any racks in my cluster right now, so all the nodes belong to default rack. I could also configure rack awareness script and tell which node is present in which rack. As I have not configured any rack awareness script, all the nodes will be treated to be present in default rack. So in default rack, under this 50:50010, there is first block. What is this 50010? It is a port at which data node is listening. So client has to connect to this port to get the data. Okay. And second block is present in these IPs. Start offset is what? This is the start offset of second block, 64 MB. Again third block, fourth block, like that 8 blocks, and last block size is what? 63 MB, and start offset. These are the racks. So I have shown you programmatically how to get the block locations of each file by using API. Okay, so let's go next. So now you understood how to retrieve the block locations. So you have a lab which you have to execute now. You can download this lab 03, writing and reading from HDFS using Java API. Whatever code I have shown you, the documentation is clearly given step by step. What is the things to be done by you? Step by step I have documented. Go through this and execute it, analyze the code, then only you will get the confidence. Make sure that you execute the exercises. Just seeing the videos may not give you the confidence. Make sure that you spend some time on executing the exercises as well. Try to type the exercises. Don't run the solutions. Of course, I will be giving you the solutions, total solutions, like whatever I am showing you here. Don't see the solutions. Try to follow the documentation and complete this start projects. Then only you will get the confidence. Okay. Now you have seen how to do it. And one more thing is I want to show you. If you have multiple files in a directory, and if you want to merge all files and write one file, then the command is Hadoop space fs-get merge. Give the directory and what is the file name into which all the files should be merged. This is the way to merge files in HDFS. This is a command. So now you understood how to access, how to read and write files in HDFS through Java code. In earlier video you understood how to read and write files using Hadoop shell script. Okay, see you in next video, and we'll try to understand more on map reduce in next video.